Meanwhile...
Today's video is brought to you by Card Kingdom, and you can pre-order all of the Strixhaven cards you need right now by heading over to cardkingdom.com. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Budget Magic. And Strixhaven is here, which means this week we are getting super aggressive in Standard with just 10 rares in a really sweet, super powerful, super fast blue-white Magecraft deck driven by clever Luminancer, Leonin, Lightscribe, and more. So let's talk about our sweet 10 rare deck. Jump into some games, see it in action. Alright, so here is our blue-white Magecraft deck. And as you can see, 56 bucks in paper, 10 rares, 0 mythics on Magic Arena. So the idea of this deck is essentially to hopefully kill the opponent really, really fast by slinging spells. So creature-wise, we got a few interesting options. Our best card, Clever Luminancer, just a 1-mana 0/1, but it gets +2/+2 whenever we cast an instant or sorcery or copy one, which means we can often be hitting for like 4 with this card, and as the game goes along, there are definitely times when this turns into like a 20 power one-shot threat. Cemetery Sage just gives something a base power of 2 until end of turn, so it itself can be a 2/2 flyer for one. Can also like pump our Clever Luminancer, which is kind of nice. Leonin Lightscribe, when we cast our copy instant or sorcery, pumps all of our creatures +1/+1, so it works with everything. And then Clarion Spirit might look weird. It's not technically a Magecraft card, but whenever we cast our second spell each turn, we make a Spirit, so it interacts really well with all of our cheap card draw spells, which is how we're triggering like our Luminancer and our Lightscribe, because we can cast 2 in a row, make a Flying Spirit, and then it also works really well with Leonin Lightscribe, because if we can go wide with these flyers and then cast some spells, Lightscribe's going to pump them into like 3/3s or 4/4s, and then they just kill our opponent in like one big attack. So that is the creature base of our deck. Of course, to support these cards, we need a lot of cheap spells. We got Defiant Strike, Opt, 1-mana cantrips. We got Of One Mind, often a 1-mana draw too, because we do have a mixture of humans. We have 2 humans and 2 non-humans, so we can often set it up to be a 1-mana divination. Mentor's Guidance, kind of sweet. It's 3 mana, but it does copy itself, so it technically triggers all of our Magecraft stuff twice, which is nice. Then we have some cheap protection, cheap removal. Fight is 1. Again, we have humans and non-humans, so it's often protecting 2 creatures by making them indestructible and pumping them and triggering Magecraft. Sajiri Shelter, Kiburi Takedown, come in the mana base. Stern Dismissal just bounces something of our opponents for 1 mana, so we can keep attacking, close out the game. And then the big finish, and maybe the most exciting non-creature in our deck, is Show of Confidence. So Show of Confidence, it just puts a +1/+1 counter on target creature and gives it Vigilance for 2 mana. The big deal is it essentially has Magecraft Storm. You get to copy it for every instant or sorcery that you cast before it this turn, which means we can do some ridiculous things with this card. Like, picture what we want to do with this deck. Let's say turn 1 we Clever Luminancer, turn 2 we Leonin Lightscribe, turn 3 we cast a 1-mana cantrip, and then we cast Show of Confidence. That's going to give us 2 copies of Show of Confidence plus the 1-mana cantrip. So that's going to suddenly make our Clever Luminancer into a 6-power creature. But then Leonin Lightscribe is also pumping everything +3/+3. So that's going to mean Luminancer's a 9-power creature. Leonin Lightscribe is a 5-power creature. Plus we get the counters from Show of Confidence, which is further pumping our creatures. So essentially, once we get to turn 3 or turn 4, Show of Confidence often can be a storm card that pretty much wins us the game. We need our creatures to do it, but it just adds so much power to the battlefield by triggering Magecraft a ridiculous amount of times that we pretty much just kill our opponent really, really fast once we Show of Confidence. Mana base, cheap and budget. Pathways, a bunch of basic lands. We really want everything to come into play untapped, although I will say another rare dual land like Fable Passage would probably be helpful for the deck. Otherwise, in the sideboard, Miscast Shell Shield to protect our stuff, Drannith Magistrate for adventure, Season Hollowblade, Riddle Form, resilient threats to come in against control decks and sweeper decks, couple of Essence Scatters, and that is blue-white Magecraft for Standard. That's our budget Magic deck for this week, so let's jump into some games, see this absurd deck in action. It's a sweet one. Like, this deck does some crazy things. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit with a wrap-up. Alright, budget Magic time. It is finally Strixhaven time, and I'll keep this. We are getting aggro with blue-white Magecraft in Strixhaven Standard. And we're going to need to find blue mana at some point, but, I mean, we got Luminancer, we got a Clarion Spirit, and we have spells to cast. Well, land Luminancer. Yeah. See what our opponent's up to. Okay, playing rogues, I assume. To the bottom. Well, pathway on blue. Play Clarion Spirit. No attacks. Opponent. Snow-covered swamp. Ooh, foretells. Okay. Oh boy, and a Lightscribe. Okay. Now we need to think about how we want to do this. So we can Defiant Strike into Show of Confidence and just get in for a ton. We could also Lightscribe and wait. Alright, let's Defiant Strike Luminancer. Play the land. Show of Confidence. Luminancer. Clarion Spirit. 11 you? Alright, not a bad turn 3. Your go, opponent. Island. And passing. Well, let's of one mine. I think we just win here. Good lord. Maybe this deck is more aggressive than I even realized. Draw 2. Island. Of one mine. Draw 2, make a token. And Show of Confidence. Whew! Opponent. Counters. We still get copies. Opponent. Oh my god. Not bad for 10 total rares in the mainer side. Wow. Wow. We just absolutely ran. Whoa. Luminancer. Luminancer's a magic card. Golly gee. Alright, so. How do we want to fight this deck? We can go down these turn dismissals, I think. We need ways to protect our stuff. So, Miscast probably coming in. Riddle Form is also very good against sweepers. Not as aggressive, but good against sweepers. Hollowblade is good, but can we find room for all of these cards is the question. So what do we cut? What do we cut? Let's go down 1 Clarion Spirit, 1 Symmetry Sage. Mentor's Guidance. Go 3 Miscast. Ooh, 2 Riddle Form, 1 Defiant Strike, and... yeah, we'll get on 1 more Clarion Spirit. We'll kind of replace it for the Season Hollowblade. Wow, that was a game. Well, I don't know how the rest of this match is going to go, but that was a ridiculously impressive win. Sand is less exciting. It's a lot of lands. We do have a Symmetry Sage. And a Show of Confidence. I think we mulligan. Ugh. Alright, well. This we're going to keep, and I guess we just hope we draw lands. We will put a Miscast to the bottom. Ooh, yeah, this isn't optimal until we hit lands. Opponent, Scries to the bottom. Well, land in Luminancer. Alright, deck. Give us blue manas. Please, please, double please. Opponent, Swamp, and passes. Well, that's not good. Alright, so we're going to do the mana screw thing for a bit. Fabled Passage. Opponent cracks Fabled Passage. And Snuggerwood Island. Okay, we will continue to do the mana screw thing. Well, as good as game one went, this one is going equally as bad. Opponent has a Heartless Act. We're probably actually going to concede in the not super distant future if we don't draw land. I think against the control deck, we need to be the aggro, and we are not doing a job of that at the moment. All right, well, there's a land, so we will continue to play Magic. Season Hollowblade. Go. I mean, this is still a really, really just amazingly bad start. Opponent's going to draw some cards. 2 to the top. Not the direction we wanted to see. Opponent, Crawling Barrens. And passes. Well, now we're hitting lands, sort of. Well, play the land, play Leonin Lightscribe. Go to combat, attack. Erebos' Intervention. Well, we will opt. Pump Hollowblade. Defiant Strike, probably to the bottom for now. Hit you for 3. Pass the turn, see what our opponent has. Land. Cracks it. Oh, if we could have done this a couple turns earlier, I think we'd be winning by now. Opponent has a Shadow's Verdict. Alright, that's not good for us. Well, land on blue. Play Riddle Form. Play Symmetry Sage. Pass the turn. Opponent, Scryland. To the top. And going to pass. Well, let's opt. Make that a 2/2. Turn on our Riddle Form. Island to the bottom. Of one mind. Sure. You're still a 2/2. Opponent's going to counter. Sure. Show of confidence. Counter up the dorks. Opponent has a Heartless Act. Alright, well. Hit you for 4. Oh, we'll see. We might have just gotten off just too slow of a start, being stuck on one land for like 4 turns. We're piecing things together surprisingly well, considering what a ridiculously bad start we got off to. More lands is not ideal. Oh, go to combat. Hit you for 2. Opponent takes it. Play Luminancer. Pathway on blue. Pass the turn. Opponent's going to draw a card. The bad news for our opponent is, even if they win this, we're going to be on the play for game number 3, and hopefully we do not get stuck on one land for the entire game. Yeah, this one might be over now. Put it. Well, alright. We're going to move on to game number 3. Yeah, I mean, that time we mulliganed, and we were not able to... We were not able to And we are not able to find a land drop, so we did nothing for several turns. Well, we're on the play for game number 3. Hopefully our hand is functional. Alright, well, that's good enough. Well, pathway on white, Luminancer go. Opponent's going to play a tap land. Now, pathway on blue. Riddle form. No attacks. This miscast is eventually going to be helpful, I think. Opponent, snow-covered swamp, passes. Now, we draw an island, so let's opt. Pump the Luminancer. We will keep of one mind. Go to combat. Attack. Alright. So Jerry Shelter, Luminancer. On black. Hit you for 7. Alright, opponent. Alright. Opponent, island. Could use a cheap spell. We draw another Luminancer. I'll play Luminancer. Play Symmetry Sage. So I guess we're going to try to set up to do things next turn. Like right now we have what? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9? The problem is we need a cheap spell. We need a cheap spell to turn on our riddle form so we have a non-human so we can of one mind for 1 mana instead of 3 mana. So if we can draw any cheap non-counter spell, I think there's a reasonable chance we win next turn. Yeah, we will miscast that. Sure, grow you. Well, let's see what we draw. We will decline. Alright, cheap spell. Land. Well, of one mind. Pump the dorks. Turn on riddle form. Land of one mind. Pump Luminancer. Draw some cards. Attack! Whoo! Okay. The deck has some aggro. So game 2, obviously, did not go well because we did not have a any mana. But, oh boy, we just kind of ran over that control. Like, Luminancer! That card is insane. Like, look at the start this deck can get off to. Wow. All right, not bad for 10 total rares. Sweet, on to the next one. All right. Budget magic time. We are Magecrafting in Standard, and I don't think we can keep this 1-lander on the play. We'll keep the 2-lander on the play. We're going to put Jerry Shelter to the bottom. Well, we shall see. Our opponent appears to be roguing. Luminancer go. About it. Thinking carefully. Swamp. Well, play this on blue. Clarion Spirit. Go. We really need our stuff to live for a turn because then we can of one mind to draw some cards. Yeah, so opponent is playing rogues. Mills a couple cards. Untaps. Island. Has removal. Goes attacking. Well, play this on blue. Of one mind. Draw a couple cards. Couple lands, I mean. Hit you for 2. Boot it. Land, mills, crab, jink. Huh, that was all action. And a Soaring Thought Thief, then mills. Alright, so opponent milled 17 non-lands, 18, 19 non-lands, and you know we're going to draw a land. Oh my god, fight is one. Alright. Oh, play a land, play a land. Of one mind, draw some cards, can't even attack. Yeah, there's the lands we were thinking of. That's unfortunate. Well, our opponent might have us this time. It looks like Rogues might finally be janking us out. Merfolk Windrobber. Mills some cards. Gets a Luris. Well, can we draw some card draw or other real Magic the Gathering cards? Opponent hits us. Down to 9. We draw real Magic cards? No. Our real Magic cards have been milled. Well, I'm not sure there's much we can do about this. Go to combat, attack. I think we're just dead. Opponent. Yeah. Sure. Game 2. Well, that was a good rogue hand. So, what do we want against everyone's favorite standard deck, Rogues? I guess we just bring in Miscast. Go down to Mentor's Guidance. Go down... I guess Symmetry Sage isn't that good when the opponent just has a bunch of random things that can block it. Yeah, alright, try it like that. Yeah, not feeling very confident in this matchup. We might have found the bad matchup for our deck. Boot it. Well, we get to play first. The old no spell hand. Well, we're going to keep this because we have a lot of good threats, and we're going to... I think that hands with all threats and no spells are keepable. Hands with all spells and no threats, on the other hand, I don't think are keepable. I'll play Luminancer. Play an island. Opt. Keep of one mind. Hit ya. Down to 18. About it. Of one mind's a decent draw. Island. Passes. Well, play this on blue. Play Lightscribe. Of one mind. Trigger a bit. Alright, so opponent has removal, but they're still going to take a beating, and we still get to draw cards. Not good cards, but they are cards. Opponent down to 12. Give us spells, give us spells. Opponent. Land. Windrobber, sure. Soaring Thought Thief, sure. I'll play Clarion Spirit. Of one mind. Draw a couple cards. Make a token. Opponent scoops it up. Alright, alright. We got there that game. I am still not at all confident in this matchup, but the deck, wow. The deck is actually pretty scary and does some really sweet things. About it. Can we beat Rogues with them being on the play? Yeah, we're going to keep this. We will see. Opponent, Island. And Ruin Crab. Well. Play the land, Symmetry Sage. Go. Opponent. Fabled Passage. Gonna start the milling process. Cracks Fabled Passage. Gonna mill some more cards. Wow. Alright, opponent milled 6 spells. Not ideal. Opponent passes. Play the land. Play a Luminancer. Pass the turn. Opponent's going to deadweight. Okay. And a Wind Robber. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Well, play a Plains. Play Lightscribe. Pass the turn. So we're going to play defensively for now. We have this fight as one. Thieves Guild Enforcer. Sure. Going to mill a couple cards. And of one mind. All right. Opponent finds a tap land, does more milling. Well, it would be nice if our opponent started milling lands, and if we could draw some spells to chain together. So far, our opponent's managed to mill a lot of spells. All right, 2 more spells, 1 land. Opponent goes attacking. Sure. Mills a card. That is the exact card we wanted to draw. And it's a fight as one. Well, bounce the Thief Guild Enforcer. Play this on blue. Go to combat. Attack. I don't think we can 20 our opponent. So, Luminancer's... like, alright, we can deal a ridiculous amount of damage here. If our opponent had not had that of one mind, I think we win here. So let's think about this. So, this is going to be plus... So we get plus 8 for casting the spells. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15... Wow, we can 18 our opponent? I mean, I think we do it. Jeez. I mean, this just shows we probably end up losing this game, but I think this shows how ridiculously powerful this deck is. Because we're like 1 spell away from just literally leafling our opponent here. So opponent goes to 2. Yeah? I mean, we did our thing. That's what we got. I don't think we're going to get a better chance to do anything. All right, opponent mills a couple lands. I don't think we're going to be able to get through the last 2 points of damage, though, unfortunately. Stern Dismissal. Not very helpful. Pass the turn. Well, even in a losing effort, we are showing what the deck can do. Opponent going to draw a new hand. We cannot do anything about that. Oh, I wish we had 1 more spell. That would have been such a sweet turn to just 20 our opponent with 2 creatures. I mean, that does show what the deck can do, though. Opponent runs out Thieves Guild Enforcer. Yeah, I think at this point, I think our opponent's just got it, though. I don't think has Eliminate. Yeah, I just don't think there's any way we can actually piece this together. Opponent goes to combat, gets and hits us. 1 spell short. Opponent mills a good card. We draw a Defiant Strike. Sure, we will cast that Defiant Strike. I'm sure our opponent has a handful of answers here. About it. Yeah. I mean, there's no way we can get through the last points of damage. Whew! Well, not a win, but still pretty impressive. Alright, budget magic time. We are Luminancing opponents. Blue-white Magecraft. So far, this deck seems pretty interesting. It does things, and it does them quickly, and they're pretty powerful. Ooh, alright. Yeah, this hand looks pretty good. I don't know if our opponent's playing, unfortunately, which is disappointing because I really like this hand. Luminancer, Clarion Spirit, 2 spells. That's what we want to see. Yeah, we'll keep. See if our opponent actually plays Magic. About it. Alright, plays a Shatter Skull Smashing. Well, Luminancer, go. We would like to avoid getting stomped exactly right now, because if we do, we can protect it with Defiant Strike potentially, but Plains for are about it. Let's play this on blue. Opt. Yeah, we'll keep Mentor's Guidance. Go to combat. Attack ya. So what we're trying to set up is protect our Luminancer this turn. Next turn, we can Clarion Spirit 1 mana of 1 mind. Make a token. And then the turn after that, we can start using Lightscribe for even more pumping. Bone it. That's the plan anyway. We'll see if it works. Alright, opponent down to 18, pass the turn. Not going to cast a Defiant Strike. I think it's better to... Bone Crusher is just, it's a thing. I think it's better to leave it up, even though it's less aggressive. Wow. Alright, well that worked. So opponent ended up having a Bone Crusher our face. Land. Moon Crusher. Yeah. That is acceptable. Opponent passes. Ooh, show of confidence. So we need to play this, let's see. I think we'd rather have more white than blue. So play this on white. Play Clarion Spirit. Or do we want Lightscribe? So if we Lightscribe... Yeah, let's Clarion Spirit first. So play Clarion Spirit. Of 1 mind, draw 2. Make a token. No attacks this turn. Well, let's see what you got, opponent. Land. Gets a forest, Edgewall Innkeeper, sure. Shepherd of the Flock, also sure. We're pretty fine with our opponent just kind of grinding out a little bit of value, because we are going to deal a ridiculous amount of damage shortly. We draw Defiant Strike. Well... Defiant. Oh, do we keep waiting? All right, what do we do if we just go for it? They have blockers. All right, let's Defiant Strike the Spirit. We draw Plains. Plains. Defiant Strike the Spirit. Show of confidence. Grower Dorks. Attack for 18? This deck is ridiculous! Sure, opponent. Do you have a Wrath? Opponent plays a land. The Great Hedge. Powerful card. I don't think it matters. So we will play a land. We will, of 1 mind, draw 2. We will opt. Make a token. Luminancer can go bottom for now. And then Show of Confidence. Gordorks a bit. And go attacking. Yeah, that's a nice Eldraine. That's some nice Eldraine over there, opponent. Opponent blocks. It blocks. All right. Well, let's see if our opponent can have the best turn of all time. I don't even think the Great Hedge is going to be able to save our opponent here. Like, sure, they can play stuff and draw some cards, but I don't see how that's going to be enough. All right, opponent manages to kill one of our creatures. Plays a Giant Killer, draws a card. Plays an Innkeeper, draws a card. Well, the bad news for you, opponent, is we're just going to kill you. Lovestruck Beast, passes. Well, play... so we need, let's see, mostly blue. Play Lightscribe. Opt. Get some triggers, grow our dorks, Luminancer bottom. Play a Plains. Mentor's Guidance. Trigger. And, boy, do we no longer need to be afraid of Eldraine? Are we in a new world where Eldraine is just not enough? Do we even change anything? Or are we just planning on doing that again and just killing our opponent as quickly as possible? We could bring in, like, a bit of protection. Miscast doesn't seem that great. I don't know what sideboard cards our opponent has. We know what they're doing. They're just playing a bunch of dorks. So they're going to have some removal after sideboarding. Is Miscast enough? Could just bring in the shield. Let's go 1 Mentor's Guidance for a Shell Shield. 1 Symmetry Sage for a spell, a shield. Symmetry Sage, it is very powerful, but it can be a little bit weak against Bone Crusher. Because it does always die to Bone Crusher. This hand has no threats. I don't think we keep the no threat hand. Yeah, alright, this has threats. We will put, I guess, Turn Dismissal to the bottom. Opponent, Fable Passage passes. Well, Plains, go. Opponent gets Forest. There's the Innkeeper. And a Fable Passage. Ooh, more lands. So we can't really run out this Lightscribe yet, because if we do, then it gets Bone Crushered, and then we lose. Yeah, this hand is far less exciting than our last one. Opponent cracks Fable Passage. I guess we're on the mulligan, so that makes sense. Gets a Forest. Opponent goes attacking, hits us. Plains, Kazandu Mammoth. Well, we will play Lightscribe. Play an island, pass the turn. Mountain. Grows the mammoth. Great henge. That's not good. About it. Gets and hits us. Oh dear. Alright. Well, maybe we should still be a little afraid of Eldraine. Scavenging use. Draws a card. We draw more. Oh, we're drawing so many lands. Well, shield to the bottom at this point. Play a land. Defiant Strike. Show of confidence. I mean, so we've built a big threat. However, our opponent has blockers, and they have a great henge. So it might just be a little bit too late here. About it. More Innkeepers. Draws a card. Alright, so maybe Eldraine's still a little busted. Maybe we got too cocky after match 1. Maybe Eldraine's still pretty broken. And a giant killer, and we will go to game 3. Okay, so Eldraine, it's still decent. Not bad. Not bad, I guess. Let's bring in the Dranith Magistrates. Going down, 1 Clarion Spirit and 1 Shell Shield. Run it like that. Good news is we're on the play. And if we get a good hand on the play, I feel like this deck can beat basically anyone. Good enough. 2 Lumimancers we will accept. Well, land and Lumimancer. Go. Opponent tap land. Now play the land. Play another Lumimancer. But we're not going to do anything this turn. We're going to wait and be safe. Opponent land. Glass Casket. Alright, so they managed to kill a Lumimancer. Opponent passes. Well, play an island. Play Leonin Lightscribe. Pass the turn. Opponent Fabled Passage passes. Now we will opt. Give some triggers. Looking for more spells. Fight as 1 works. We'll keep fight as 1. And opponent! Done! Too good! Opponent even had the removal spell, but, well, sorry, Eldraine. Strixhaven has arrived. Boy, this deck. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This feels like one of the most powerful arena budget-friendly decks I've ever played, honestly. Jeez. All right. Well, keep it going. All right, budget magic time. We are Magecrafting in Strixhaven Standard. Blue-white Magecraft. 10 rares, that is all. And this hand still looks pretty fine. We will keep. About it. Swamp. Archfiend's Vessel. Well, tap land go. About it. Faceless Haven. Interesting. Well, play a land, play a Clarion Spirit. Pass the turn. Opponent. Hateful Eidolon. Oh. Deadweight. Yeah, sure. That is legal. Opponent hits us to 18. Well, play Lightscribe. Play the land on blue. Pass the turn. Do they have another one? Oh, come on now. Come on now. And we'll keep a Lumimancer. Oh, this is the nightmare. This is the absolute nightmare. Yeah. I mean, I don't even want to play anything. Playing things just means those things will brutally die to these auras, apparently. Opponent goes to combat attacks. Yeah, that's a smidge unfortunate. Even our protection is not very set up for this. We draw more lands. Oh, yeah. Oh, dear. Yeah, this is not good. This is everything that could possibly go wrong is going wrong at the moment. Opponent also has a Rankle. Sure. And we will scoop it up. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, that is not ideal. So the problem here is our deck is not designed to protect against our opponent killing our stuff with enchantments. That is just not something we are set up to do. Season Hollowblade doesn't do it. Our counters don't do it. So yeah. We just did not actually consider that people would be playing mono black enchantments. But yeah. I was assuming that people would be doing new things, but it's a little different since Wizards unwisely canceled Early Access Day. We don't have people playing new things necessarily, because new things cost money, and Arena is absurdly expensive, so a lot of people seem to just be playing whatever cards they have in their collection, which can't really blame them to with how much it costs to play cards on Arena. Opponent. Opponent's had quite some draws, eh? Quite some draws for our opponent. Yeah, this just might be a matchup that we literally cannot win. Opponent. Wow. Woo, boy. Jank mode X 1000, okay. Archfiend's Vessel, sure. Sure. Oh, we will full price it of one mind. And go attacking. Opponent, gonna block. Presumably one of the cards in their hand is named Luris. It is. Opponent, deadweight, and yes. No way we're ever beating that deck. On to the next one. Alright, budget magic time. More Magecrafting, blue-white Magecraft in Standard, and well, I guess we keep this. We do not have blue mana, which is not ideal. We appear to be up against Sultai Ayarion. Opponent plays a forest and passes. We'll play a land, play a Clarion Spirit. Omen of the Sea for our opponent. Gonna need us some blue manas. One of these days, gonna need some blue mana. Opponent. Presumably sitting on a pile of removal. Hey, that's blue mana. Well, play the Pathway on blue. Play Leonin Lightscribe. Opt. Sajiri Shelter to the bottom. Well, there's more blue mana. The biggest problem is if our opponent has Extinction Event this turn, it's pretty bad for us. On the other hand, if we get to untap, it's pretty good for us. Opponent passing. More lands. Well, let's Defiant Strike the Spirit. Play a land. Mentor's Guidance. Keep a Luminancer. We do not want Stern Dismissal. Well, go attacking. Hit you for 15. Well, I mean, if our opponent has a Wrath, they're back in the game. Although we can kind of... Okay, opponent's going to dig for a Wrath. Boy, this deck deals damage. This deck deals damage. Opponent leaves one on top, so I am assuming that's gotta be a Wrath. Or they're just dead. Opponent, land. Has a Shadow's Verdict. Well, alright. Clarion Spirit. Clever Luminancer. Play a land. Do they have another Wrath? Boy, we've drawn a lot of lands. Opponent. Elder Gargaroth. Opponent passes. I think we have lethal still, right? So, fight is 1. Both options. Pump you, pump you. Show of confidence. Go attacking. And opponent, done diddly done. Wow, this deck deals damage. It deals some damage. Okay, so opponent, try to Yari on us. We will bring in, I think, Riddle Form and Miscast. We will go down Stern Dismissal. We will go down 1 Clarion Spirit. Maybe like 1 fight is 1. A Symmetry Sage. Maybe 1 more Clarion Spirit and Mentor's Guidance. Yeah, let's try it like that. Miscast is essential. Miscast is our answer to a Wrath. And a Wrath is our opponent's answer to dying on turn 4 or 5. So, that is one of our more important cards. Alright, that sounds pretty good. We have mana both colors. We got some card draw. Opponent, tap land. Well, lead on the Symmetry Sage. We do not have a counter, a way to protect our stuff yet. Oh, play a Plains. Clarion Spirit. Opponent runs out Omen of the Sea. Ooh. 2 to the bottom. Well, if we untap with our creatures, we can draw with Of One Mind, which is nice. And protect our stuff. And make tokens. 4 is for our opponent. Alright, they have a removal spell, so opponent's staying alive. Well, let's Defiant Strike. Play Cabria Takedown. Hit you for 3. Opponent. Fabled Passage. Cracks it. Island and Cultivate. Alright, getting the ramp on. Well, I mean, can we find a counter? That's probably the biggest question. We might have to opt on... Yeah, we're going to opt on our opponent's turn. We do not want a Plains. Glad we opted. There's a Luminancer. Sajiri Shelter. Play the land. Play Luminancer. Of One Mind. Draw a couple cards. Hit ya. Well, this is a huge turn. If nothing goes horribly wrong, we can win next turn, I think. Decent chance our opponent has something to prevent that, though. Opponent. Well, Yarion, okay. Well, let's have a good turn. Well, I think there's a decent shot we win here. So let's think about this. Well, let's start with opt. We will grow Symmetry Sage first. We will keep Fight as 1. Pathway on white. Fight is 1. Make Luminancer indestructible, pump it. Okay, Fight is 1. Make Luminancer indestructible, pump it. Show of confidence, kill you. Well, I mean, that was a good try, Ariane. You tried. You've been Lumimanced. Not bad. Not a bad turn. That's a 20 power 1-drop, and yeah, gotcha. Luminancer is a magic card. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. All right, that was that was something else. Sweet. Jeez. Well, all right, let's do it again. So what did we learn this week about blue-white Magecraft in Standard? And overall, we went 3-2, which 3-2, that's a fine record, especially with a 10 rare $56 deck in Standard. We really got to see the amazing highs and the lowest lows from this deck. So we had some just absolutely absurd games against control decks, against adventure decks, where we just like play a couple creatures, and then we essentially just like combo off, where we cast a couple spells, we show off confidence, all of a sudden we have like a 20 power Clever Luminancer, and our opponent's just dying on turn 4. We had several of those games. They're like chaining together of one mines into more spells. It does absolutely ridiculous stuff. This deck can pour on damage probably faster than about any deck in Standard. It really is insane when we get like a Clever Luminancer and a Leonin Lightscribe. We got a bunch of card draw to find those pieces, so it's kind of consistent. So the deck can be absolutely absurd, and we saw it be absolutely absurd and just absolutely crush like Yarion Saltai Ultimatums, absolutely crush a adventure deck. So some of the better decks in Standard. On the other hand, we also got to see the downside of the deck, which we played against this mono black Auras deck, and our opponents just got a handful of Deadweights, a handful of Mire's Grasp, these cheap removal spells for creatures, and we're just like, okay, play Clever Luminancer. Opponent's like, all right, kill it. And then we're like, play a, Clarion Spear, or Leonin Lightscribe, and our opponent's like, okay, sure, kill it. And we're like, oh, okay, one more creature, Clever Luminancer number 2, and they're like, Luris, Flashback our enchantment, kill it again, and then we just really can't do anything. So decks that are overloaded on cheap 1 or 2 mana removal are really, really effective against our deck. The idea of our deck is that we can use like Fight as 1, we can use our Sageri Shelter, we can use our sideboard cards to protect against this removal, but it doesn't always work out that way in practice. So we got to see some really low lows where our opponent's just playing a deck that's overloaded with 1 or 2 mana removal, and it felt like we just couldn't do anything in those matchups. So really, really good, I think, against some of the top tier decks in the meta. It's just so fast, difficult to interact with for those decks that are trying to like play expensive sweepers. We got Miscast to answer that. They're trying to play expensive sagas. We're just too fast for that to actually matter. So we can get around like Bone Crusher Giant. We can get around like the Yorion stuff. But there are certain matchups where it just felt like we couldn't win. So all in all, it felt like with Blue-White Magecraft, it felt like there were some matchups where it's really hard to lose. And the good games are ridiculously spectacular. But then some of those fringe decks that just happen to line up really well with our deck, it felt like it was going to be really, really hard for us to ever beat something like the Mono Black Auras deck, which just absolutely wrecked us. So very explosive, but sometimes a little bit fragile to opponents having a ton of removal. But still, for 10 rares for $56, this is a spectacular budget deck. This is one of the more powerful feeling budget decks I've ever played with just 10 rares. So if you want to go crazy and try to combo off and kill quickly in Strixhaven Standard and don't have a lot of wild cards, I would definitely recommend it. So anyway, that's been Blue-White Magecraft. That's our budget magic for this week. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. Enjoy Strixhaven, and I will talk to you soon. Did you enjoy today's Strixhaven Standard budget magic? Well, make sure to check out the top 10 standard cards for Standard video that Krim and I did a few days ago.